First of all, it seems appropriate to remind everyone that there are no truths expounded here. There's no way implied or suggested in any way at all. The stories that are told for the purpose of precipitating and evoking. Now, if we're precipitated off the edge of a cliff, something deep inside of us is going to be evoked. It might be to call out to God to help us, and we hadn't been a spiritual or godly thinking person before. We might call on Allah. Or, in a less dramatic way, if our mind is precipitated off its roost of belief and conditioned thinking, it's put into that place where there is evoked in us the wisdom of our experiences, our own experiences, which rise up as an understanding, an awareness that can be shared with others. There's no other purpose here than that. So all the stories that are told are merely to do just this, to perhaps precipitate and evoke. There's a story of a young girl who from the very earliest age was lonely and filled with longing. And in those early years, because of the environment in which she lived and was brought up, she was taught about the Buddha. And so she called the Buddha's name. It became a way of life with her. On her lips all the day was the name of the Buddha. So she left her place of abode and somehow found her way to a monastery. And in that monastery she was ordained as a nun. And as a nun, she became the cook of the abbot, who was himself a very wise and saintly man. But this nun, in her calling of the Buddha, was not in any way mellifluous. It was strident. It was ear-splitting. And she went around every day calling the name of this Buddha that sounded like a shriek. So all the monks who were in this monastery, they got tired of it, and they were constantly complaining to the abbot of this dreadful sound that they had to listen to every day. So finally, the abbot asked her to leave. Well, she became a wanderer. She had nowhere to go. And she wandered aimlessly for some time until she came upon a woman who said to her, "I have a big house. There's plenty of room for you, and you can chant the name of the Buddha all you want." So the nun went to live with this woman. And because she was so kind to her, the nun insisted that, "Please, give me some flax and I will make thread for you." Now, the woman didn't want any repayment for her alms that she was giving, but the nun insisted. So the flax was given, and the nun created the most marvelous thread for this being who allowed her to be fed and sheltered and continue calling the name. Now, after some years, the nun went to her mentor and said, "The day after tomorrow, I'm going to die. And because you've been so kind to me, I want to show you how one can die. But please, don't tell anyone. But will you allow me to bathe myself in readiness? Which of course the woman did. So the day after the day, the nun bathed herself and put on a clean robe. And then she sat, and as she had always done, she called the name of the Buddha. The day passed, and nothing happened, and night fell. It was dark, hardly any moon, and her mentor was watching. And all of a sudden, in the sky, there was a great light, which was suffused with violet and then purple, and the most wonderful aroma was in the air, up the nostrils of the woman. And then, on the last cry of the Buddha's name, the nun departed earthly realms. Now, at that time, in the household, there was a 12-year-old boy. And afterwards, the woman who was the mentor had told the young boy that in witnessing this scene, she did not see the Buddha come with the bodhisattvas to take the soul of the nun, but she had seen that great light, and she had smelt that wonderful aroma that lingered with her for the rest of her life. So this young boy himself became a monk, and he did have an awareness and a realization which he expounded to others from this experience and from this tale. Now, there is no finish to this story for the moment.
You're getting a bit naughty with those.
What is it to you? From your own experience of life now, because all of us have had and maybe still have that loneliness and that longing that's driven us. And maybe our mind has come to rest on some kind of roost that maybe is because of our conditioning and belief and because of what we've been told. But we wouldn't be sitting here had we not tapped that deep well within ourselves. If we had not evolved, if we had not been precipitated. So, how would you end this story? How, as that young boy who'd been there, this is a clue. He hadn't witnessed the scene, but the nun was there every day, every moment, chanting stridently the name of the Buddha. This 12-year-old boy became a monk, and from that experience was able to give out his version, his truth, his experience according to them. Do you see what's being got at here? How is it for us now? We've been precipitated. We're off the edge of that cliff. even though perhaps we try to cling to maybe some old belief, seeming truth, but we're in free fall, aren't we? We're in free fall. So that means the very deepest within us is being evoked at every moment. What is it for you? How would you tell this story? Because it had to be then your story, huh? How would you sum up the facets of this tale? From your own experience. What is it that's been there for you all along? What name have you called? What's risen in you? Maybe at first it was that longing. What is it? What is the purpose of life? Why am I different? Why can't I? But now, there's something that has arisen in us. What is it? How would you finish this tale? Aren't we that nun, that mentor, and that young monk all in one? Aren't we? Come on, out with it. Out with it. On with it. And claim it, wear it. Don't put it on someone else, somebody else's truth, somebody else's story. Out with it.
Yeah, I think it's an awareness that you have all your life. It's deep inside that you just
bet.
know.
You know.
Yeah.
And all our experiences allow us to have it elicited. Now out with it.
It's never ending.
Never ending.
Never ending.
On with it and out with it. We are in free fall. That means that at every single moment of our life, we can bring forth the very essence of what it is, with the name of the Buddha from within us, our truth. And give it as a gift to whoever is standing in front of us. That's how serious our life is now. And it is for me anyway. Never wasting a moment. Every single moment is precious. Every single person that stands in front of us is a special gift that you give your absolute attention, and whatever it is that comes up from there, and it's coming up from that depth at every moment, because there we are in free fall. So get on with it. Give out what you've got. Give it out. There's no time.